to start with what Paul doesn't mean. When Paul says love is kind, he does not mean love is nice. Kindness is not the same thing as niceness. There are two types of niceness. First of all, there's a natural niceness, Some people, both Christians and non-Christians alike, have a very pleasant disposition. They have a mild temperament. They are generally friendly and generally polite to other people. I call this a natural niceness because these people are born with this type of niceness. If you remember what the psalmist says, God is the one who formed our inward parts. He knit us together in our mother's womb. And so what that means is that if you are generally nice, if you are naturally nice, then God made you that way. What do you have that you have not received? And if you have received it, then why do you boast as if you did not? Okay, so clearly, this type of natural niceness that the Lord gives through common grace is not the same thing as kindness, because kindness requires the power of the Holy Spirit. Niceness just requires common grace. But there's a second type of niceness, and this is called worldly niceness. Worldly niceness. This is a manufactured niceness. This niceness is unwilling to offend people. It insists on being polite to all sides, even those sides that are propagating evil. And it is concerned above all else with winsomeness. King Jehoshaphat, though he was a good king, he suffered from this type of worldly niceness because he made an alliance with the wicked King Ahab. And one of the prophets rebuked him after this alliance. He said in 2 Chronicles 19:2, Jehoshaphat, should you help the wicked and love those who hate the Lord? And it's this type of worldly niceness that we must especially not confuse with true Christian kindness. And so let's just ask ourselves, let's do the Jesus test. Was Jesus being nice when he called the Pharisees hypocrites, whitewashed tombs, and blind guides, serpents? Was Jesus being nice when he asked them, how will you escape the sentence of hell? No, Jesus was not being nice, but he was being kind. You see, kindness is willing to rebuke if duty requires. Niceness, on the other hand, will never rebuke because that's not nice. Kindness will never compromise on the truth. But niceness will compromise if it is nice to do so. Kindness is motivated by the fear of God. Niceness is motivated by the fear of man. And I think that the greatest danger today that has infiltrated major evangelical institutions and infected major evangelical leaders is this type of worldly niceness. When the church mistakes worldly niceness for true Christian kindness, she always compromises with the world. That's why critical race theory has infiltrated the church, because it's not nice to disagree and debate with those who are propagating it. That's why some leaders are now calling us to adopt what's called pronoun hospitality, because it's not nice to insist that a boy who identifies as a girl is really a boy. Worldly niceness is destructive to the church. Case in point is the Corinthian church itself. They exercised a worldly niceness in 1 Corinthians 5 when they refused to discipline the man for sexual sin. And Paul called that worldly niceness arrogance in verse 2. And he said, this will lead to the destruction of the church. He says in verse 6, do you not know that a little leaven leavens the whole lump? And so, brothers and sisters, I would plead with you, do not be nice. But we must be kind. What then is true Christian kindness? Paul says love is kind. Love is Christos. Christos. Two interesting facts about that word Christos. First, the ancient historian Suetonius, in his biography on Emperor Claudius, uses Christos to refer to the founder of Christianity, namely Jesus. Jesus is kindness incarnate. Hospitals, which are institutions of kindness, down to this day call themselves Christos or Christus. Secondly, Christos was a common slave name in the Greco-Roman world. It literally means useful. Slaves were called Christos because they were useful to those whom they served. That's what kindness means. It means to serve others, to be useful to others. And so we arrive then at our main principle this morning. Kindness is a fruit of the Holy Spirit, whereby you freely and gladly do good to others whenever they have need and you have ability. It's our big idea, right? How do we know that that's true Christian kindness? Because that's who God is. Psalm 145:17, the Lord is righteous in all his ways and kind in all his